Now, I'm very excited to welcome back one of our top guests in Mr. Will Hill from Bear Bets VSiN, as well as the Should Have Bet More podcast. You can follow Will on X at not the Will Hill. Will, it's been about 7 weeks since we had you on week one. Coach Callahan fired. You crushed it, dude. Like, how do you keep cashing these NFL long shot props?
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, look, it got a little dicey when they won that game in Arizona in just ridiculous fashion, which people knock people out of Survivor, which you need if you're in Survivor. You need those kind of games that wipe out the pool. But I thought, oh no, that's going to buy him. Who knows? Another 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. But I don't know. I thought that maybe they didn't want to go into this week facing their former coach with the storyline being, wow, we fired Vrabel. And now we brought in this guy, and his replacement is whatever he is, 4-19, 4-20. So glad that one got home. And yeah, it's funny. You could put all this time and effort into sports betting, into certain markets, and not do well on certain things. And then it's just sort of one brain dead. You come across that market and say, wow, 15-1 on Callahan, first coach fired. I could see that happening. And it cures a lot of sins.
I mean, there you go. Was it 20-1, did you say? How much was
15, that? 15-1.
Just about. Yeah, man, great bet, dude. And yeah, it's like I remember. I think I was listening on VSiN afterwards, and after they won that game, and you're like, "Oh, just extend him for 5 years or something." He said something like that. I laughed my ass off when he said that on the walk. It's funny. It's like even the Titans players should know they had no business winning that freaking game. That was Arizona saying, "Here, take it from us." I hear there's 8,000 Survivor entries from Circa. Just go ahead and take this. Let's ruin everybody's day. So that's what they did.
Yep, absolutely. And and he started to kind of take shots at Ward too, say we all need to be better, including Cam. And look, that's not like the most overly harsh thing you're going to say, but he's your number one pick. You were bad last year. He's kind of he's going to be the only saving grace is you got this kid, and you hopefully can develop him, and he saves your job. But it was just a disaster. It was beyond time for him to go. Aside from the bet, he just looked out of his element, overmatched, didn't know the rules, didn't know how to time out that ridiculous thing week 2 against the Colts where he's kicking 63-yard field goals and stuff. He was really bad. He was about as overmatched for that position as anyone I've seen in a long time. Aaron Glenn, by the way, not too far behind him. He's been awful for the Jets, but Callahan was just awful and didn't get better.
Awful, just pathetic, man. And it's funny. It's like when you say the wrong things, it really tips the oven over, tips the boiling water
tips the scales.
Over.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, scales. Yeah. Well, here and James Franklin, you remember he was saying, making fun of the reporter that was like, "Why don't you just ever give your receiver a chance on one-on-one, throw the ball?" Everybody does that, and he's like, "We would never do that. My skin is boiling." It's like, dude, stop, man. It's like you have no right to rip into a beat reporter after freaking losing 3 in a row. And I think that was part of it. It was just a bad look hockey. It's like, first of all, everyone with like a Jeremiah Smith, they see one-on-one, they're throwing the ball. They let the receiver make the play. So he was full of it. And now Callahan, Ward's got to be better. It's like, dude, you got to be better. But now I'm in a conundrum because you got a point where it's a coach revenge spot versus a coach's fired spot that we always love to bet. So I'm like, Jesus, now do I have to stay away from this game from Survivor focus as well as betting? Oh, it's so confusing.
I do like the Titans getting the points. I swore them off for a while because every week it was like, oh man, it's too many points. And then they just didn't cover. It's hard to be that bad in the NFL straight up and against the spread because usually the market accounts for it or overcompensates for it. I could see them bouncing back. I mean, are we really at the point where New England should be laying 7.5 on the road? I get it's a Vrabel revenge spot, but I mean, look, these coaches want to win every game. So I don't know how much that factors into it. I could see the Titans, being competitive here. And it would be kind of ironic because I had 2 survivors going into the year. I lost one of them to the Titans, and it would be just fitting if I lost another to the Titans. So I don't know if I'm going Patriots, if I'm going with your Bears. There's a few decent options. Obviously, it starts to get harder and harder the longer you go here. But
KC is a big one.
For Circa, they've got holiday implications.
But dude, are they better than Denver? I don't know. I mean, my numbers have them equal, and then they have Washington a good amount better than the Cowboys. So is it okay just to keep the Vikings and keep them because the Vikings are at least at home? Yeah, I'm in the same situation. The Bears are in a horrible spot. But funny, I just got this tweet from Ian Rappaport. And this, I have to skip to the second question. With Trey Hendrickson not expected to play tonight versus the Steelers, that's all you have to read. Because I'm going to ask you, I mean, and this was my answer. If you were the 49ers, who would you trade for? Well, Nick Bosa's out. The Bengals now kind of have to trade Hendrickson. They're not re-signing him or paying him a big franchise tag again. It's like now they have to trade him. I feel like this tweet means that he's sitting maybe because he's banged up, but probably because they want to trade him.
Yeah, and I wish we would see more trades like that in the NFL. Like I was watching the Chiefs the other night, man, they could use a running back. What is Breece Hall doing on the Jets or Kamara on the Saints? We see this in baseball. We see it some in basketball. I guess it's harder to work with the salary and the guaranteed money. Plus, you throw in the fact of learning a new system in the NFL in the middle of the season. It's not like, going from shortstop for the Yankees to shortstop for the Mets, where you just, put on a new uniform. It's basically the same game. It's a little more complicated with the systems and the cap, but I'm with you. I think Hendrickson to the 49ers makes some sense. And, if Hendrickson is out there, they're going to have some competition because there's a lot of teams that could use another body, another pass rusher. Detroit, Green Bay, Buffalo could certainly use a body defensively. They have looked very mediocre defensively. So if he's going to be out there, I mean, San Francisco, like I said, makes sense, but it's not going to be as simple as, all right, we want him, let's get him. If they're going to dangle him, they're going to get some pretty good offers.
Well, they tried that before. They grabbed Chase Young and almost won it, but didn't. And you wonder if of course, Chase Young's going to be the trade bait too, because it's not like the Saints are going anywhere.
Right.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of DNs out there, and Hendrickson is one of them. So I think it's now time to start talking about it. It's week 7. The trade deadline's going to be coming on a few weeks. It's time to start talking about that. I find it so interesting that the Niners just get so beat up, and this leads into my next thing, dude. Who's the best freaking 3 teams in the NFL? Well, I mean, if you count injuries, I mean, my power ratings have injuries, and I still have Lions. I have Lions Chiefs, so you can flip flop either one, and then I have kind of like Denver and Indy kind of creeping right behind that, and Green Bay a little bit behind that. I mean, what do you think? It's so weird. You would have thought Ravens, Buffalo, maybe the Chiefs too, of course, but I mean, those injury-led teams have been free falling.
Yeah, I'm with you. Lions, Chiefs. I would still just default Bills as a placeholder because they have Allen, who's, one of the 2 or 3 best players at the most important position. That will be a good home field come December, January, later in the season. And I don't feel great about it. I mean, you could talk me into Green Bay. You could talk me into some of the teams you mentioned. So, to your point, it's we always say it's a league of parity. This is the year, because I was looking at it from the bottom up the other day on my podcast. Who can you really write off in the league? I mean, there's 4 or 5 teams, obviously, that are really bad, and you can write those teams off. The Jets and the Raiders and the Bengals and the Browns. I mean, there's like 8 or 9, but for the most part, I mean, even teams like, you can't write off the Bears. You can't write off the Cowboys. Yeah. The Panthers are 3-3 and they're favored this week. They got a chance to be 4-3. You look at it, it's just, there's not that many teams out of it, and there's not that many teams at the top pulling away.
Oh, I agree. The parity this year is more than any. I was going over ATS, and the top ATS teams are 4-2. It's just interesting to see that. It's like after a week, you usually get like a 5-1 or maybe a 6-0, but just a bunch of 4-2s for the top, and not even a 1-5 for Baltimore, but then 2-4s. Yeah, the parity is amazing. It's making it more challenging, I think, from a betting perspective. But that's our job. This is why we do this. We have to get ahead of it. Let's talk some buy low, sell high. So you go first. Buy low, sell high. You can do either or both, or just one.
Buy low, sell high. I will buy low here on. You know what? You go first. I got a couple teams I'm picking before. You go first. I
didn't think I was saying this, and I'm not sure if I'm taking the Titans, dude. But the Patriots. Now everybody's like, let's bet them to win the AFC Championship. Let's bet them to win the division. Dude, first of all, Buffalo's still 4-2. Second of all, the Patriots do not grade well at some things. I'm looking at some of the defensive statistics here, and they're just not great on defense as a few things. They're the ranking in the 20s here, 22nd in drop back EPA. That's not the greatest right there. I mean, if I'm making a bet on this team and it's a passing league and they struggle against the pass, it's not like, I feel like those numbers are telling me something. Now, what's even weirder is in offensive rush EPA, they're dead last. I was shocked because I was thinking, like, do I use it as a teaser this week when I was doing my numbers and looking at the EPA numbers? They're number 32 behind the Raiders in rush EPA. I'm like, that can't be sustainable if they're going to make a run. It's just, it's weird. The numbers hate the Patriots, bro.
That's a good one. All right, I'll sell high with the Steelers. If you look at, I think Team Rankings has these fumble luck, fumble recovers. They've recovered 83% of all possible fumbles. I think that is obviously not sustainable. The schedule gets much harder. So I'll sell high on the Steelers, even though I still think you look around that division. I know Baltimore get a little healthier after the bye, all those things. With a tough schedule, if they can beat the Bengals and go to 5-1, that's a 4-game lead over the Ravens. I don't take the other team seriously. So that might be a division where you win the division with like 9 games or something like that. So, but I will sell high on the Steelers. I will buy low. It's a tough schedule coming up, but just from a personnel standpoint, I will buy low on the Minnesota Vikings. I just think they are getting much healthier. Blake Cashman, the green dot, looks like he's on track to play this week against Philly. Van Ginkel might not be back this week, but he's close. And that offensive line has just been blown to pieces, blown to smithereens. They're getting most of those guys, if not all of those guys, back pretty soon. I think Kelly dealing with concussions, the center might not be a go, but 4/5 of the offensive line could be back. So just on a health standpoint, the bodies, and that's a good roster. Who knows about quarterback? And it's just kind of ironic as me as a Viking fan. Sam Darnold was so great last year. He's so great this year. He's not on the team anymore. Daniel Jones was on the team last year. He's doing great. He's not on the team. They talked about trading up for Drake May a couple years ago in the draft. He's doing well. The Vikings are just cursed when it comes to quarterback. You can relate to that as a Bear fan, but I think the Vikings should get healthier. So brutal schedule. I'm not saying bet a future on them or anything, but I just think week to week, they might be a play-on team because they're getting some bodies back, and they've really gotten killed by injuries.
Dude, and I was looking at that. They are getting some guys back, and in like 2 more weeks, they're going to get even more guys back. I don't know about McCarthy.
Yeah,
I know what Wentz is, and he is impossible to bet, man. I hate fading a team when Wentz has a good defense. I just don't know what I'm going to get with this dude. He's Sam Darnold-ish when it comes to that. At least Sam Darnold with this team kicked ass ATS last year. But I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I have this game as a pick 'em, and I was thinking Vikings, or do I tease it? So I'm struggling with that one, my friend. But I agree. I think that you're going to be able to buy low, and I think McCarthy will turn out. So this NFC North has gotten a lot harder. I think this is going to be a really interesting division. And, some people are still trying to say, oh, now the Rams and Niners division is the best. No, it's still the NFC North to me. Let's go to some games then. Let's talk about some games, and we'll miss this Thursday night game because this comes out on Friday. But hey, Rams, Jaguars, and this is the London game, I believe. If it's still in London, it's not Germany. I believe it's London. +3, and it's kind of like one of those soft +3s where it's -105, maybe +100 at a few places, with a total of 44.5. Why don't you have the floor?
Over, if anything, for me. And those fans in London, the people watching the early games, they're entitled to some points because what we've seen the last couple of weeks between Vikings, Browns, and Jets, Broncos, oh my goodness. I still don't trust this Jaguar defense. I know they've been opportunistic and ball hawking, but they beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago on Monday night. They gave up 7.5 yards per play. They got really beat down to down. I think the Rams can move the ball. I was expecting a little more offensively out of the Rams last week in Baltimore. They left points on the board. They had some drives they couldn't finish, missed short field goals, but that was a shaky weather day too. They played with their food a little bit, but I think they can move the ball in Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville could get in a little bit of a shootout. And I've noticed this with some of these lower totals. Not that this is super low. I think 44.5, but it's lowish. I'm usually an under guy. Unders are very hard to play with these low totals, with these new kickoff rules. And if you don't kick the ball properly, it starts at the 40. Well, then you have these kickers that can make it from the other 40. So it's like you're always in scoring position. It's a very uncomfortable feeling to have unders in these low totals. So I like under, if anything. I'll give you a prop too. I think Travis Hunter is sitting at 39.5 receiving yards. If you look at the last couple weeks, 62 yards, 40+ yards. Last week, he only had 15 yards, but he did get 7 targets. If you're going to draft him second overall and trade up a king's ransom to get him, you better use him a lot more than you are. So I think there will be an re-emphasized, an emphasis here, I should say, on getting him the ball and getting it more often. So 39.5, looks a little low. I think we could see some points, but I like that Hunter over receiving yards.
I love it. That's a great take. And I agree with that. And I think I wrote it down. I think I might attack that myself. I took the Jaguars +3. I just feel like this should be closer to pick 'em. You look at EPA per play on defense, the Rams are looking great at number 4, but the Jaguars are number 6, and I don't know, strength schedule wise, maybe the Rams have had it a little bit harder. But this Jaguars team also is pretty good on offense, kind of in the middle of the pack here. Believe it or not, the Rams only 11th in EPA on offense. And they got to face a really bad Baltimore team last week, so they were fortunate of that. And then the Jaguars are 14th on EPA in offense, so only 3 separates that. So if they're that close, you have one team that is so used to going to freaking London and spending like 3 weeks out there. I just feel that, this is one I'm going to take the points. Maybe I lose by 3. I think there's a chance I can win outright. So I just think there's a little value on the 3. I'll probably be using that as a contest play. Here's the thing, though, too. If I lose this one, I'm going to definitely be on them again because they're going to be staying out there, right? And they're going to probably be there next week. So it's one of those.
Yeah, they're good in these spots. They've done really well. I know the market sort of accounts for it, but throw in the fact that Nakua is not playing, it looks like. I think that's looking pretty likely that he's out. So I don't disagree. I'm not looking to lay it with the Rams.
Absolutely. That's a big part of the handicap is Nakua being out. Patriots Titans. I think I said enough. Revenge spot versus coach fired spot. I think what you said had everything to do with the fact that they're playing Vrabel. They want to surrender to Vrabel. Like, we're not going to have our new coach lose to this guy. Vrabel's a fiery guy, and it would just be too embarrassing for that ownership group. But does that mean the coach fired works enough to win or cover? What do you think?
I like the Titans plus the 7. I think the hooks have disappeared. Are we really at the point with this New England team where they're laying a touchdown on the road against anybody? I can't quite get there. I know it's not going to be a comfortable feeling when you have Tennessee there, but I could just see like a 23-20 type of game. New England, I don't think is great defensively. Ward at times has shown some flash. I thought he was okay in that Arizona game, which kind of got lost because everything with the ridiculousness with DeMarcado just fumbling on purpose or voluntarily, however you want to word it. And then the ridiculous kicked interception. Ward did move the ball, when he had to there. So at least you're seeing some glimpses there. I don't think he's looked great this season, but I just think on principle here, I got to take the 7.
All right, Circus Survivor, put $1,000 on the Tennessee plus 7 because you like it anyway. And there's your next year's survivor. So if you, you either advance and lose your bet because you're off anyway, exactly. or there you go. It's something I'm thinking about because the Patriots, there's other opportunities to use this Patriots team too. There's some pretty good ones out there. And I hate the Bears spot. We'll get to the Bears, but this is one I thought I was taking until last night. And then I'm starting to be like, what survivor is, man. Raiders, Chiefs. Another situation where the Chiefs are a very important Christmas game. And I think they're at somewhere on Thanksgiving. I think I didn't like who they were playing. But it's another one, Survivor, do you save it? I hate to say this, but I'm kind of getting close to picking the Raiders here, Will, because my numbers say 10.5. But I feel like this is that spot where the Chiefs, no penalties last week. Is the NFL finally going to be embarrassed about this team? Almost like the NFL saying, F you, we don't care when it comes to this team. It's the Raiders are bad. But this is just kind of like that Pete Carroll spot where he's going to kind of get those guys fired up. They got some, I got some dust off maybe last week against the Titans. Maybe they can backdoor this. It's not like they have went to Kansas City and had success on Christmas 2 years ago where they won out, right? I just might take the 11.5 is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird rivalry because, like you said, the Raiders have played them tough. They won on Christmas 2 years ago. Then the Chiefs never lost a game. They didn't lose until like the middle of the following season after winning the Super Bowl. And then last year on Black Friday, they should have won the game, could have won the game. They just botched the snap at the end. They made a million mistakes. I think that was with O'Connell under center. It would probably be Raiders or nothing for me. Chiefs do get Rice back. As far as a bet, though, but then there's been times where the Chiefs have been annoyed by the Raiders, kind of rubbing it in their nose, and the Chiefs have pulled away and won some games by margin. So it's an odd rivalry in terms of that. I passed the game. I lean towards the Raiders. I do like Chiefs, and you could Bet this. DraftKings has this team total over 27.5 minus 120. They're kind of back on offense. They're throwing the ball down the field. Thornton and Worthy and now Rice, they've got a little more juice in the passing game. Mahomes is throwing it down the field. Raiders are not exactly the steel curtain on defense. And you just look at the last few weeks, 37 against the Ravens, 28 against the Jags. And that's with they threw an interception on the goal line and they averaged over 7 yards per play. And then last week against Detroit, they scored 30 points. So I think them getting 28 plus here at home against the shaky Raiders defense is in play here. I like the Chiefs team total over.
I don't disagree. Let's say 30 to 20. That's fine with
Works.
me.
Send it in.
Yeah, send it in. That would go over the total for sure. You wonder this Chiefs defense, they are coming around a little bit, but yeah, I'm still leaning the Raiders here, and it could be a play for me just based upon this number. And the Chiefs in the recent history has not been one of those, I don't care, I want to beat you by margin, I just want to win the game type situations. Eagles, Vikings, I already kind of said, man, I'm leaning Vikings. I have picked them, but now it's down to 1.5. I could have got 2.5 if I didn't hesitate. What about you?
Oh, the numbers never matter. That 1 point or half point never matters. You know that. What difference does it make? Just take whatever number. It won't matter. I like Minnesota. I kind of tipped my hand earlier as a team I'm looking to play on a buy low. And it's about getting the bodies back. Cashman, the green dot, who matters, who will really help with the run defense, the offensive line back. You're giving Flores and a good coaching staff a lot of time to prepare. And this Eagles offense just looks flawed. They've been outscored on the season. They're 28th in yards per play on offense. And they're kind of banged up. I think Mitchell, the corner, Carter, they're dealing with a lot of injuries defensively. So that's a tough place to win. Vikings rested. Vikings a little healthier. I think the Vikings send the defending champs here to their third straight loss.
I don't disagree. I'm with you on that one. And I think something's wrong with the Eagles, and I don't think it's fixed yet. And I think it possibly was losing their coordinator to the Saints, obviously. And you saw them that 1 year after the Super Bowl, when they lost Super Bowl and lost their coordinators, they were freaking terrible. There was a lot of problems with them. So they at least have Fangio, but still, I am with you on that one. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers versus Jets game. What a ratings blowout for this one, my friend. Yeah, those Jets, are they going to win a game this year? They thought they were maybe going to win this preseason, but right now, man, I took the over. And I took the over because the Jets have moved the ball, and Justin Fields is dynamic, and Carolina's defense is bad in general. It is not good. They're winning because of Bryce Young. And, I have this little algorithm going. My number's 46, and I think it's just one of those that's off enough for me to take a chance on it. I love what Bryce Young's doing. I think the Jets are, and I think Carter might be out, but I still think that the Jets are going to try to fight to win this game, and they should score over 20 points. I took the over 42.5.
What do we have for a status for Wilson? Because I'm actually I like the under. I'm oppo you here. I don't feel great about it. Maybe I'm a little biased or a little recency bias here with what I saw last week. Broncos, Jets, and I think Stuckey, who's a good follow on Twitter, I had on my podcast, said this might be the worst sporting event I've ever watched. The Jets Broncos. That was so bad. It really was that bad. But if Wilson's banged up or can't go, where do they go for offense? I actually more than the under. I like Justin Fields under passing yards. I think he might get benched in this game. If he a couple 3-and-outs, why wouldn't you just throw Tyrod Taylor in there? They're going to be booing as soon as they go 3-and-out or they have an incomplete pass. This game's in New York. They're going to be booing. Taylor actually played okay that game against Tampa. He's much more competent than what we've seen for Fields, who, I guess you give him credit for not throwing interceptions, but he's just not being daring with the ball. So I like Fields under passing yards. I think he could get pulled. I like under in the game, but I will watch very little of this one.
You should watch very little of this one, but I will say that it looks like Garrett Wilson is out, and cornerback Michael Carter is questionable. I just think that it's not enough for a cluster injury. I'm sticking with my over, my friend. I guess it's me versus Will Hill on this one. And I will say I took over 41.5. So if it lands on 42, there you go. That would be great for both of us. I have to give it out at 42.5 because that's where it's painted everywhere, Will. Yeah. I just love Carolina's offense right now. I hate the Jets defense, and I think the Jets are in desperation mode, and you might get one of those Steelers versus Jets games in this situation, but it's good to disagree. And that's doesn't happen too often, but here we are. Let's move on to the next one. We have the Saints versus Bears. This is down to 4.5 now. Total 46.5. So here's my stupid ass. I bet it on Sunday before the Monday Night Football game. I bet Bears minus 5.5. I say Bears are going to beat Washington, and I had that bet too. And I'm like, as soon as they beat Washington, they're moving to 6.5. And then I had more options. Well, hell no, it's down to 4.5 now. I'm like, how did this happen? You cover the spread against Washington, you win the game, and then the spread goes down? Well, that's football for you. That's the NFL, and that's the market that we deal with. It's a terrible spot for the Bears. They have a short week. They have a sandwich because they have the Ravens next week. They just got revenge from the Fail Mary. It's also Caleb Williams, and they're making money on turnovers. You know that. They're not. You don't know what's real. The Saints are playing really, I guess I would say they're not good, but they're playing mistake-free football. But this is one that the Bears could absolutely lose. And I was thinking Bears Survivor for a while. I am completely off the game. I'm teasing my way out of this, Will. What about you?
Like you said, bad spot for the Bears. I've been on the Saints a lot this year. They're underrated. They don't get enough respect in the market. Their one blowout loss was in Seattle when that was just all special teams. It was kind of fluky. That being said, 4.5, we're basically saying these teams are only 3 points apart on a neutral field. I think we're baking in the spot a little too much. I think the Bears win the game by a touchdown.
Okay. Well, good. I mean, that's good for my teaser and my side. So there you go. I'm hoping you're right on this. I'm still not confident enough to use the Bears in Survivor. I think that there's some other spots, just not many, but I think there's one against the Browns at home where you can think about using the Bears, but I hate the short week on them. Dolphins, Browns. So this one, I mean, the total was just 40.5 about an hour or two ago, and now it's 37.5. Dude, it's going to rain there. It's going to be storms. The Dolphins rank 30th in opponent rush EPA. So you think that the Browns should be able to go Quinshon Junkins all over them, but at the same time, maybe that coach is stupid, but just stack the box against the Browns. We have to freaking lose. Make Dylan Gabriel beat you in the rain. Yeah, dude, that's what I would do. I think the Dolphins are a perfect teaser selection this week.
Yep, they are. And low total, you're getting up to 8.5. It is a good teaser. And the movement today was, I think there was, because of the wind, there was one report that I think it was Andy Slater, who works for Fox News, reported 50 to 60 mile an hour winds are possible. But Kevin Roth, who's really the authority, the voice on sports betting as related to the weather, he came out and said more like 10 to 15, the 50 to 60 is before the game. He put the caveat of, hey, we're 3 or 4 days out from this. It's weather. It's unpredictable. As of now, the most of the bad wind is before the game. So who knows what's real? I think, even if it's a 50-50 shot at you get 20 plus mile an hour winds, Gabriel under passing yards, Tua under passing yards, both quarterbacks under attempts, who knows? Parlay them all. And usually you wouldn't say parlaying, but when they're that correlated where just, picture the scenario in your head where it's rainy, it's windy, it's cold, you're not going to try to throw the ball. And plus when you're running the ball, that gets the game over with quickly. So it's just not as many a chance for attempts. So I like all that stuff under pass yards, under pass attempts. I think DraftKings still had under 7.5 points for the first quarter as a total. I like that under. As far as the game itself, I guess I lean towards Cleveland winning, but I like your idea of teasing Miami, and I like playing those quarterbacks unders.
Weather.gov. I'm looking at Saturday, changing it into Sunday forward 2 days. It is a little early to be looking at this stuff, but you're looking at Gus starting at 9. Is it a night game? No, it's a day game. Okay, so you got 36 mile per hour gusts at noon. 20 mile per hour wind, 25, 20. I would take those unders now. Yeah. They're on DraftKings. Take them now. They're like 180 for Dylan Gabriel, 176, and 189 passing yards for Tua. They might not be able to pass the ball at all. This is, God, I got to write this down. All unders on Dolphins, everything. What sucks is that can you get a field goal in anywhere closer to 20 yards? How about a tie game at 0-0 at the end? Would that be wonderful?
Or under longest field goal, under field goals made. You could, if you really people you want to bet a little to win a lot, you start parlaying the quarterback unders with the running back over attempts, just because it's all correlated and they do taxi on the correlation. But if you have such a good correlation and it comes to fruition, that I think that's those are good ways to attack it.
That
Plus,
is
you look
awesome.
like a square. If you're throwing in 8 leg parlays, you look like a square, and it's less of a chance to get limited down the road. So,
Oh, 100%, dude. These are gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a good time with this one. Hopefully, all these thousands of people are not going to be putting that in now that you mentioned that. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Well, let's move on to the next game. What we have here? I have to get off the props. There's lots of choices. We have the Broncos against the Giants. Broncos -7, total 39.5. Why don't you go first on this one?
what did you have for the spread in the total again?
-7, 39.5.
It would only be Giants just because of the spot. Broncos coming back from London. Giants with extra rest. Little rejuvenation for what's been a dead franchise really for like 10, 15 years outside a year here and there. In the Super Bowl in 2011, they have not, I don't think, won a playoff game since. They've barely been there. Oh, they beat the Vikings in the playoffs a couple years ago. Damn, I should have remembered that. But they've been an awful franchise, an awful team. They got a quarterback, a running back, better rest scenario. The Broncos didn't light the world offensively on fire. Last week against the Jets, I'd only look towards the Giants plus the 7. Do I love it enough to bet it? Probably not, but it would be Giants or nothing just because of the spot and the travel.
Hopefully it comes back here, but they just beat the rival, the Eagles. So it's weird. It's kind of like the Titans Patriots game where you got two conflicting factors of a travel spot against a letdown spot. Yet the letdowns got extra rest. Yet the Broncos didn't play well against the Jets. You think I'm teasing the Broncos. That's all I have to say. Colts, Chargers. 48.5. Now the Colts are about 1.5 point dogs. I like the Colts. I'm betting the Colts. The Chargers kind of beat a bad Miami team last week, and that they could have lost it. It was going either way. Tua's also like saying some really strange things for his interviews too. I don't even know how much motivated this Miami team's going to be throughout the future, but I will say that the Colts right now are in my top 4, and the Chargers, because of their problems on the offensive line and their injuries, I had to downgrade them for almost cluster injuries on that. I like Harbaugh. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great bet on coach in general, but I think Joe Alt didn't practice on Wednesday. You thought maybe there's a chance he comes back. Probably not. Khalil Mack is not. He's designated to return, but he hasn't practiced. Obviously, Slater's questionable. There's just too many offensive linemen there that's been banged up, and I don't know. I just think the Colts are better, and they have that something this year. That's something that just gets them over the top, and it's going to be a 1-score game, and they're going to score last and win this game. That's just the way I think.
I'm opposite. I got the Chargers. Are the Colts really going to be 6-1? If you look at their schedule, and I know their down and down stuff has been outstanding. They beat Arizona with Brissett, backup quarterback. They beat Cam Ward and the Titans. They beat, Tua week 1? Knicks that with the leverage call. I think you can poke holes in their schedule a little bit. And last week, Jones had, I think, 5 passes defended. So defenders are getting hands on the ball. That's dangerous. I feel like some turnovers are coming, and the Colts are dealing with a cluster injury scenario there in the secondary. So, I don't love it. I do, I do agree with the idea of teasing the Colts up to 7.5. I don't think the Chargers, with all of their injuries, are blowing anybody out, but I think the Chargers win this game.
Lil Oppo, that's fine. Doolin's a little banged up. Chartavius Ward is concussed. Didn't practice, so they could be missing Chartavius Ward, which would be tough for their cornerbacks. It looks like Kenny Moore is returning to practice, so that's good. Mike Hilton has been injured a while, and man, this is a situation where I just think the Colts have that extra gear, and I just feel like the Chargers are getting by on great coaching. Don't get me wrong; that Justin Herbert's doing a fantastic job. You know what I will say? I'm looking at their injury report, and there's a lot of guys that are scheduled to come back on the 19th. I don't think they all do, but Denzel Perryman is at linebacker, Eric Rogers at corner. There's just a bunch of guys that have been out a long time that says the 19th. I don't know. I don't know enough yet. So I'm still with the Colts. So I'm still sticking with it, but it'd be tough. It'd be a tougher play for me and better for you if they get these guys back. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Packers at the Cardinals. Cardinals plus 6.5, total 45.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a boring answer. Line looks about right. I don't know what to make of this Packer team. They look like the best team in the league 2 weeks in. They, didn't play well against the Browns and the Cowboys. 2 games they're heavily favored and they didn't win either one. Last week was a little bit better, even though they didn't cover, and the Browns made that, or the Bengals, I should say, made that dicey at the end. If you had the Packers in Survivor, like I did, up 6 with the ball, 3rd and long, man, is this really going to happen? Are they really going to blow this game? They were able to get in field goal range and ice the game, but that was not as pretty as you like. But I will give you a bet here. You can find this at DraftKings minus 131. Packers to record the first down. 5 of their games, 4 of them, they've gotten the ball first. They've had a habit here of electing to receive most of these teams at first. So if you're starting with the ball, minus 131 to get the first down is a good bet. I believe Love has gone over his first quarter passing prop in all 5 games. So that's another one. And the DraftKings FanDuel, they do offer first quarter markets for player props, passing props, things like that. So, I think also 4 of the 5 weeks, if not all 5, if you parlay Love over with his opponent under first quarter passing prop, that has gotten home quite a bit here early on. I don't think it's quite baked in properly that the Packers usually do start with the football.
Well, I'm leaning Cardinals. I got by with them last week. I don't want to bet on Brissett twice in 2 weeks in a row. I think last week was kind of a revenge against the Colts. Has been, like they've been fortunate, like you said, and I agree. But they also kind of, it's weird. I like both teams. It's this week going into this week. Well, 1 loss, 1 won. If Kyler Murray plays, Kyler's going to be embarrassed, I think, a little bit, and I think he's going to play better. He's still limited in practice. Even my Cardinals contact is not giving me good information yet on it, so I'm going to wait, and I think it's a great line too. Commies, Cowboys plus 2.5, total 54.5. This is the highest total I've seen. Is it smart to tease a 2.5 with such a high total like this?
I mean, not usually. That's not the ideal teaser. Like usually, if you want a teaser, it's you want to tease Army and Navy up when it's 30 total, or like Cleveland and Miami, like we were talking about earlier. That being said, got a lot of ways to win on a teaser with Dallas. If you're down 10 late and they have the ball, you're probably getting in the back door with a touchdown or a field goal, especially with that field goal kicker. So I think Dallas is fine as a teaser leg, even though it's not ideal. I lean towards Dallas here. I don't have a great feel for it. I do like Dak over, I think 267.5 passing yards is the prop, just because they're so bad defensively that he has to throw, and he's having a great year. He does take a lot of crap for somebody who's a pretty good quarterback. I know, the networks talk about them a lot and him a lot in contract discussions. He hasn't done anything in the playoffs, but in terms of the regular season, you could go a lot. You could do a lot worse than Prescott, who's probably one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the league. He's really good. I think he'll have a good day. I like his over. I think he's going to have to score to keep up with his defense. I lean towards the Cowboys, but nothing I'm willing to bet here. No
McLaurin in practice is bad. He didn't play against the Bears last week. I think the 2.5 is good on the Cowboys. If he's out, if he's in, it's probably a pretty solid line. So that's kind of where I'm at on it too. Niners and Cowboys need to step it up after last week as well. Niners, Falcons plus 2.5. This has been back and forth. It's been 1.5, 2.5, 1.5. It's funny, the fight on this one. I'm going against one of the best coaches in the league against one of the worst coaches in the league. That's what gets me. And that's what's so hard to bet these Falcons team. I got by last week with the Bills. They coming off the bye. They beat the Bills, but it's Raheem freaking Morris against Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan can take a practice squad and beat some of these jokers, man. And that's what worries me. That's really what worries me. I like it as a teaser leg. I like the Falcons teaser. I'll tease them up, but that's it.
Morris is dying to give these games away, isn't he? Even last week against the Bills, he was doing some strange things. They are not buttoned up. They are not well coached, but that's a good team. Number 1 DVOA defense for the Atlanta Falcons. You think of the Falcons, you think of Matt Ryan and all those skill guys, Roddy White and Julio Jones, and even recent years, they've had good offenses. They just never have a defense. This year, they've got a defense. They've got a pass rush. San Francisco's all beat up. I think that Fred Warner injury, on top of all the other myriad of injuries, is just maybe the last straw. I think the wrong team might be favored here. I like Atlanta.
All right, Atlanta Falcons for Will, and I don't disagree. I use them as a teaser leg. Bucks, Lions. Lions 5.5, total 52.5. This line tells me something, Will. I wonder if it's telling you something.
I'm going to lay it with the Lions. I think these teams played last year. It eliminated me in Survivor because I had Detroit, and Detroit lost the game despite outgaining Tampa by like 230 yards. It was like 460 to 230. It was crazy, the yardage discrepancy. And they met twice in 2023, and Detroit won both games pretty comfortably. Campbell off of a loss is great. I'm still not completely bought into this Baker Mayfield MVP hype train. They're missing a lot of guys on offense. And the NFL has a way of cooling off the hot team, the flavor of the week. It's been a lot of Baker Mayfield and Bucs talk this week. I think that some of the underlying stats are not as impressive. I think Detroit wins this game by 7 to 10 plus points. I'll look to lay it here with Detroit.
It's no receivers versus no cornerbacks this week. Who's got suspended there? One of their safeties? Branch did. And it sucks. I mean, now they're playing again, kind of like they looked last year, but also I love the fact that Aleem McNeil, and I think that Baker Mayfield's getting by on this pure Bakerness, and it's going to fade one of these days. Now he's got nobody to throw to. I mean, I hope Mike Evans doesn't come back because that would screw it up. But I'm with you. I didn't lay it yet. I was hoping that we get like a 4.5, but the fact that this is sitting at 5.5 tells me it's the right side. The market did not go down. They tried to tease people to take it down. This is a perfect spot for the Lions, and the Lions have been pretty good against the Tampa Bay Bucs over the years. And if you kind of look, I brought up their history here. I'll bring it up again really quick. The Lions have covered, I think, more games. Oh, I got to hit head to head here. Sorry, should have this stuff ready and get fired. The Lions are the last 3 games they covered twice. So, yeah, I guess 2 out of 3 ain't terrible. If you look in the farther history, they covered 4 out of 5 in the beginning of this since 2010. But no, it's a situation where last year they lost at home to the Bucs, if you remember. So I feel like this is kind of a revenge spot too, Will. So that was the one they didn't cover out of the 2 out of 3. Let's move on.
Yep.
Last game, Texans versus Seahawks. Seahawks -3, total 41.5. Any thoughts?
Seahawks are pretty good. I think Aaron Schatz has them as second best 4-2 team in the history of DVOA. The number one being Arizona, who went to the conference championship back in 2015. But I would expect a close, low-scoring game, as the total indicates. I'll give you a prop here. Over 3.5 field goals made in the 11 games these two teams have played combined. 8 times they've had multiple made field goals in the game. So you got 2 defensive-minded coaches. They don't mind settling for the points. Should be decent kicking conditions. I lean towards Seattle here, but Houston does have a pretty good defense. I got to be honest. I don't know what to make of Houston. Got a pretty good defense. I think they have a quarterback, but he is super up and down. I just lean towards Seattle because I don't trust bad offensive lines on the road. Houston does not have a good offensive line. Playing in that environment, the 12th man, it's going to be loud. So I lean towards Seattle. I like that field goal prop over, though.
I have kind of conflicting issues. My algorithm likes the Texans in my power rankings, kind of like Seattle a little bit. Texans coming off a bye. Sam Darnold has blown it at home a few times. And it's like, I feel like the Seahawks go and destroy people on the road. They went and destroyed the Steelers. They took care of the Jags on the road last week. It's like, I feel like they've just been really weird. They lost the Niners at home when they should have won. I'm staying away from this game, man. I just have too many conflicts here. And Sam Darnold stuff. Against the Bucs, they lost at home too. They just can't win at home, dude.
Right.
It's tough. But we're out of time, so let's get into beer bet bangers. Any long shots that you like? Maybe you can tease some of our listeners into grabbing like a Callahan type bet again or something. Will.
All right, beer bet bangers. I will. Can we do the parlay? Can we parlay both? Mm-hmm. Both Gabriel and Tua under passing yards and under pass attempts? I think it comes out to plus 600. So I'll go with that one. I'll just go under pass yards and under pass attempts. It's a 4-leg parlay. You're not going to get the traditional 10-1 payout because it's super correlated. But looking at the weather, it's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy. Those guys getting to 31, 32 attempts, 200 plus passing yards, I think is very difficult. So Gabriel and Tua under passing yards and under pass attempts. Of course, the problem with the parlay is you can't shop for the best number on each individual leg, which makes it tough. But shop around, get the best one. I do think those numbers will continue to crash.
I love it. Gives it out a parlay for us. That is fantastic. Man, it's tough to match your coach of the year stuff here. Trying to look for something worthwhile, and I think we're gonna go with the Ravens win the division plus 185. All right. Look, I looked at the Steelers schedule. A lot of people are saying, okay, it's tough. You know, I mean, it's not as easy as people think. And the Ravens, when they're on their game, can beat anyone. I'm getting the Ravens at plus money. I even looked, I thought about making the playoffs, but no, I'm going for the big one here, man. Steelers at the Bengals, then home against Green Bay. I doubt they're favored then. And it's one of those weird Rodgers spots where he's got to play his old team against the Colts. Not a gimme. You know that. At the LA Chargers, probably not even favored in that one. Home against the Bengals, you probably win at Chicago. That's gotten harder. Home against Buffalo, at Baltimore. I mean, home against Miami, I'll give it to you. Maybe I'll even use that if I ever make it that far in Survivor. But at Detroit, at Cleveland, home against Buffalo. Dude, this is a very hard Steelers schedule here. And this is where the Ravens, and then in about 5 weeks, Will, we're going to be like, oh, duh, we should have took this back. I'm going to say let's do it for some beer bets, man.
Well, I gave out a couple weeks ago on my podcast, Steelers plus 250 to win the division and Ravens plus 375 to miss the playoffs. But with these bets, you're just grabbing numbers. You're not married to it. It could put you in a position where I come over the top with the Ravens. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I like those numbers. Plus 375 to miss and plus 250 for the Steelers. Those are great bets what the market is now. So I might just play game to game, and just when the Ravens are favored, I'll just take them on the money line or tease them or fade the Steelers. I'm not sure, but I don't disagree. I think the Ravens have a path. You know, one thing, when you're 1-5, we can talk about easy schedule, getting healthier. You got very little margin. You somehow lose that Bears game here in a week or so. You're 1-6. It might be donezo time. So we can sit here and look at these schedules and say, oh, this is a win, that's a loss. And I completely agree with everything you said. But when you start 1-5, I mean, what do you have to go 9-2 to get to 10 wins? It's a very slim margin for error for Baltimore, but I completely agree with your line of thinking.
And they're not losing the Bears. Roquan Smith, revenge game. And and Lamar's going to be back. Yeah, it's just, they're not losing at home to the Bears. At
they're
Miami.
So bad on defense. Oh, that defense stinks. Again, then maybe they'll get healthier. They'll get better. Oof,
yeah.
They've been rough.
I know. But, you know, that's why they got to just keep pounding people and keeping playing on their heels so they can just expect the pass for the whole second half and just, you know, suck them in on cover two a little bit. You know, I think that's a smart way the Ravens can play. And they can jump some routes even doing that too. Well, there you go. Some beer bet bangers. We got a parlay. We got a future. Let's do it. Will, where could our listeners get your wonderful information?
Yeah, should have bet more podcast. Fox Sports. I got columns 3 times a week. Bear Bets podcast I was on this week, and VSiN throughout the week. So check it out.
All right, make sure you check out Will Hill at Not The Will Hill. Will, best of luck on all your plays except the ones we're Oppo on, and enjoy the weekend.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.